the best video game combat systems. There's more to it than just raw depth and brutal complexity, although that is a factor, but other elements such as control precision, gameplay variety, difficulty balancing, creativity, and visual feedback all contribute to the general fun factor of our good old-fashioned digital violence. You're at Boomstick Gaming, this is Alex, and I'm going to uncover and award the top 5 best overall combat systems from this year, with some bonus awards given out as we go through the upcoming nominees, along with a special guest you'll definitely want to stick around for. To be considered on this list, simple rules: the title cannot still be in early access, cannot be a remaster or re-release, however, full game remakes are allowed in. Since this is my own list and awards, I'll be taking a community poll for the year's best overall combat system down in the comments section as well, so make sure to leave your entry down there to get your voice heard, and we'll also be seeing what the majority thinks is the best. Now it's time to find out who is worthy of nomination for Combat System of the Year, and remember, this is just about raw battle mechanics, no other element of the game is being factored in. So let's see who made it in, enjoy! Kicking off the overall combat system nominees, Ghost Runner. Hades, bonus award runner-up for best combat visual spectacle. Spider-Man Miles Morales. ScourgeBringer. Ghost of Tsushima, bonus award winner for best co-op combat, specifically Legends mode. Elderborn. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, bonus award winner for most unique combat system. Cyberpunk 2077, bonus award runner-up for best weapon variety. Genshin Impact. Half-Life Alyx. Final Fantasy VII Remake, bonus award winner for best boss battles. Godfall. Paper Mario The Origami King, bonus award runner-up for most unique combat system. Mortal Shell, bonus award runner-up for best enemy variety. Marvel's Avengers. Doom Eternal, bonus award winner for best combat visual spectacle. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, bonus award winner for best character class variety. Serious Sam 4. Demon's Souls Remake, bonus award runner-up for best boss battles, specifically the modernized redesigns. Immortals Phoenix Rising. The Last of Us Part 2. Yakuza Like a Dragon, bonus award runner-up for best character class variety. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, bonus award winner for best enemy variety. Super Hot Mind Control Delete. Risk of Rain 2, bonus award runner-up for best co-op combat. And the last nominee, Nioh 2, bonus award winner for best weapon variety. This was definitely a tough one to narrow down. I've been contemplating most of this list over the last few months or so, and I even had to resort to internally grading each title on various gameplay-focused categories to help narrow down my final thoughts. Ultimately, I landed on these top 5 combat systems for the year. Coming in hot as a Combat System of the Year runner-up, the non-stop carnage shooter, Doom Eternal. Its acrobatic Twitch-based FPS chaos is so raw and precise that once you get into that special Doom trance, you'll find yourself pulling off the most ridiculous moments of gameplay that are happening even before your own brain is aware of what your dexterous inputs have just done. This is the style of combat system that tries and succeeds at constantly convincing you, yes you, are doing the coolest video gamer things ever done of all time in that very moment. Doom Eternal builds off the foundation that Doom 2016 laid out, doubling down on player mobility and more dynamic combat mechanics which require a little bit more moment-to-moment thought than its predecessor. Enemy weak spots that can be tactically amputated to kill them faster was a great addition, along with all the added mid-air dashing gymnastics, and let's not forget about the Super Shotgun's fire-imbued grappling hook, which might just happen to make it the single most satisfying one weapon of the entire year. Doom Eternal shows a mastery of the FPS genre that is near impossible to replicate, and what it manages to achieve sets the bar so high that a third entry, even better than this, seems nigh impossible. Humans can only comprehend a certain level of hyperspeed gameplay mayhem, and I don't know how you could add even more mechanics onto what Eternal has already done, but I'll certainly be there day one if that ever happens. Big congrats to Doom Eternal. This had easily some of the best moments of unrelenting core combat in 2020. For the next top runner-up for having some of the best all-around combat that 2020 had to offer, who better to present its grandeur than Aerith herself? Here is Briana White from TheStrangeRebel Gaming, the voice of Aerith from Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Final Fantasy VII Remake takes the multi-party member turn-based combat structure of the original 1997 release and fuses it seamlessly with high-spectacle real-time action. By having the majority of the combat system still powered by an ATB gauge, this makes it so you naturally want to swap over to the other party members at regular intervals, in a rate nearly identical to how your team's turns would play out in the original turn-based system. This makes combat in Remake feel like being in full live control of how you imagined the battles going down back in the 32-bit counterpart. This masterfully pays homage to the game's origins while still feeling entirely unique and inventive in 2020. Remake's boss fights, especially in the later game, require an added level of party member micromanagement, making for that great moment where all the carefully constructed mechanics all finally click perfectly into place for most players. No multi-party member action RPG quite has the same rhythm of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which makes it a combat system that grows on you the more you invest into uncovering its nuance. You slowly start to figure out, oh hey, I can't just mash out the whole game playing only as Cloud, which is what many might have feared when action-based combat initially got announced. The risks taken with this real-time meets turn-based structure paid off in the end for diehard fans and newcomers alike, making Final Fantasy VII Remake truly worthy of being in the top echelon of video game combat in 2020.
Thanks, Briana. Make sure to go check out her YouTube page, TheStrangeRebel Gaming, because if you like the more down-to-earth style of my channel, you'll likely enjoy her content as well. I have a link to that in the top right of the video right now and down in the description, as well as a link to her Twitch channel, Twitter, and Instagram, all at TheStrangeRebel. Pause the video if you need to go check those out, and also, of course, a huge congrats to FF7 Remake for landing one of the winning entries. The next overall combat system runner-up, Nioh 2. Nioh 1 already had dauntingly complex combat mechanics, but the second entry adds even more layers onto that with the creature core system, burst counters, and more weapon types, even more so if you delve into the expansions. The challenge of taking on Nioh 2 is no joke, more so than even the original, and every new combo you learn, better gear you acquire, ninjutsu and magic you master, or creature core you harness, gives you just the briefest moment of powerful relief right before everything starts absolutely crushing you again. The boss fights were definitely a cut above the rest this time around as well, relying less on generic humanoid enemies and more on interesting and weird creature designs, a big plus for me. These boss encounters were some of the best and most difficult from the entire year, forcing you to really master all of the deep combat mechanics in Nioh 2. Overall, this combat successfully builds off the foundation of the first game, offering up some of the most in-depth third-person combat you'll find not only from just this year, but also the last decade. A big congrats to Nioh 2 for hitting one of the top spots. The next runner-up for Best Overall Combat of the Year, the hectic but razor-precise 2D action roguelite, Hades. It's hard to not instantly be having a good time with Hades as soon as your fingers touch the controller, thanks to its mastery of satisfying visual feedback, fluid input control, and godly power synergy system, constantly making the gameplay feel slightly different each attempt. A novice can be having a blast right from the start, but the immense challenge of actually escaping the underworld requires skilled players to continually refine their use of environmental traps, combos, backstabs, and spells to actually end a run of Hades victorious. Although visually, it might look like utter chaos, when you're actually in control yourself, you very rarely get lost in the mix or feel like you get cheap-shotted by oncoming attacks. This all comes down to just the right amount of enemy tells and effects that allow you to absorb the moment-to-moment flow of the battlefield without really even having to think about it. That's definitely not an easy balance to pull off in an action game of this speed. This independently published title has fought its way all the way up to this point on the list, making sure everyone is now fully aware of how stellar and fun its combat system truly is. Congrats to Hades for making it into the finals. Lastly, taking the top spot on this Game of the Year celebration, the Ultimate Combat System winner of 2020, the epic katana clashing battles from Ghost of Tsushima. Straddling the line between cinematic and flashy and tactical and nuanced, the combat mechanics in Tsushima managed to provide something great for every type of playstyle. Most anyone can go into this and have a samurai katana flailing good time, but the stance-changing paper-rock-scissors style of enemy matchup system, along with all the gadgets you have at your disposal, add just the right amount of depth in there to also keep those hardcore gamers invested from beginning to end, not to mention the challenge of the lethal difficulty. The one-on-one duels make for some of the most memorable and visually pleasing fights from the year, requiring you to really hone in your dodging, blocking, and parrying skills, managing to feel entirely different than the group combat encounters. Also, huge bonus points are given here for the Legends multiplayer co-op mode that also dropped this year. Legends added even more elements to the combat, like character classes with special active abilities and other entirely new gameplay mechanics. This gives you as much of the game's core combat as you could ever want, and lets you do it all alongside a full team of samurai. Satisfying a truly wide audience of hardcore and more casual gamers alike is usually a super tricky balance to do right, but Tsushima does it gracefully. The enemy onslaught from Legends mode, the structured fights during the main campaign, and the dynamic battles while out in the open world combine into the most fully featured and well-rounded action package of the year. A massive congratulations to Sucker Punch for creating the year's best all-around battles, crowning Ghost of Tsushima as 2020's best overall combat system. That's a wrap for 2020 and the thousands and thousands of digital things we all killed this year, or at least what I did. Congrats to every game I featured in this, and definitely try to check out all the titles that won an award this year. Or if you've already played them already, tweet at the devs to make sure they know we all appreciate the great work they did. Since this was all exclusively my list from my own first-hand gameplay experiences, make sure to put your winners down in the comments section so we can also use this to see where the general consensus lands for the best combat. Hey, maybe in the future, we can then positively affect some of the combat mechanics in upcoming game development if this gains some traction. Now, if you happen to like this award show that I worked on for months and months and you want to see it again next year, or you just happen to enjoy my focus on covering core gameplay mechanics, consider sticking around at Boomstick Gaming. Again, also go follow StrangeRebel Gaming as well, because Briana crushed it by presenting that Final Fantasy VII Remake section for us. As always, this has been Alex, and there will be plenty of video game stuff to slaughter next year, so let's start getting hyped for 2021.